Okay, the new feature I'm about to show you is one that I wish I'd implemented 10 or more years ago. Watch here as I turn on Auto Open. Did you see that new speaker icon appear? This is really great. RSpec can optionally notify you with a quiet beep whenever it automatically loads a new image. So let's start by clicking on this gear button, and then under Auto Open, click here on this new sound button. This screen is where you can set the pitch and the duration of the beep. And by putting a check mark here, you can test it. Let's try it. If you don't want the beeps, just remove the check marks here. And also, when you're on the main screen here, you can click this icon to mute or unmute the beeps. So why do I like this feature so much and think you will too? Because without it, we never really could tell when RSpec had opened a new image unless it was very different than the preceding image. In the past, we always had to look up here carefully and watch to see the file name change when RSpec loaded a new image. Well, now that we have the audible beep that notifies us when a new image is opened by RSpec, we can relax a little bit. Maybe enjoy the night sky because we know that we'll hear a beep tone when RSpec loads a new image. Okay, for this next feature, I'm going to import a different project from the samples that RSpec installs. I've opened it before, so I'm just going to use the Open Recent Project feature. This is Neptune. This is a pretty darn cool spectrum. We can see the methane bands in the original image, and if I open the element screen, you can see the methane lines overlap the features in the profile graph. This is a pretty nice spectrum, and you could capture something like this yourself. Now, this new feature I'm going to show you is a little subtle. Let's take a look. First, I'll show you the feature, and then I'll show you why it's helpful. I'm going to open the magnifier screen. Now, you can see the effect of me rolling my mouse wheel to zoom in and out. If I do it slowly, you can see that each time I roll my mouse wheel, it's a pretty big zoom change. For some purposes, that's perfect, but sometimes you want a smaller zoom step. So the new feature in this release, if you hold down the Alt key while you're rolling your mouse wheel, the amount that the screen zooms is much less. See, I'm holding down the Alt key now and rolling my mouse wheel. Look how small those steps are. So now let's answer the question of why you'd want to use this. Admittedly, it's not a really common situation. Now, you know, when I first designed RSpec, I really wanted to display the spectrum image underneath the profile graph. That way, a newcomer would be able to see clearly how the gaps in the image turn into absorption lines and dips in the profile graph. So why didn't I make the default view in RSpec that, with a profile curve on the top and the original image below? Well, the problem is that our computer monitors are oriented in landscape mode. They're wider than they are high. So having the profile on top and the image below cramps space and wastes a lot of space. This would work on our cell phones, which have a portrait mode, but it's not a good use of screen real estate here. So here's the deal. When someone is teaching with RSpec, and perhaps in a classroom, it can be really helpful to show the camera image below the profile. That way students can see how the features in the image are displayed in the graph, as I mentioned. So as we see here, we can use the magnifier screen to temporarily lay the screen out that way. But we have to carefully scale it so that it matches the graph. So this is when I use the mouse to pan and the mouse scroll wheel to zoom in and out, so that the zero order star and the image spectrum lines line up with the graph. Being able to slowly zoom while holding down the Alt key while I'm scrolling, I can carefully scale things so they match up. So, like I said, this is a subtle feature, and to be honest, I debated whether to even document it. But I couldn't bear just omitting it completely. So that's why you've just seen this presentation. TLDR too long didn't read. The Alt key slows down the mouse roller wheel when zooming on the magnifier window. Oh, and by the way, one last thing on this screen. The reset button has been moved from way at the bottom of this window up to here, making it easier to get to. So here's another new feature. Over here, you may recall that this maximize checkbox expands the graphing area to the bottom of the screen, like this. Well, now you don't even need to reach for your mouse. There's a hotkey, F8, that does the same thing. Now, one other thing, let's open the rotate window, and I'll display the slant slider here. If you're using this slider, and then you close the window and reopen the window, RSpec now remembers where the slider was. In the past, it would forget. Also, we've added this reset button to reset the slant slider to 0. There are a couple of cosmetic changes to the icons on the toolbar. First, this new icon replaces the old one for deleting points between the measure lines. It still does the same thing, but the old icon was too similar to the one to its right. This one is unique and more self-explanatory. And when you turn on horizontal binning like this, the toolbar will show the green check mark so that you can always glance up to know the binning status. Okay, let's go to the calibration screen for a moment. In the past, if you were in the dark mode on some computers, this region wasn't visible and the edit boxes were inaccessible. That was a bug and it's been fixed in this release. So there you have it, the most recent update to RSpec. By the way, the sample spectra we imported were all captured on a Unistellar EV scope. Some of the images were photoshopped a bit to make them display a bit more clearly. So now, if you've watched all the videos for this update, there's a lot of information there. Sometimes it can be hard to keep it all in your head. To refresh your memory, you can go to the Help, View Recent Changes menu to see a PDF that lists everything you've seen. I hope you'll find the new features in this release helpful. Thank you for all your support over the years. I'm honored to be able to provide you with a tool like RSpec and to help you discover the excitement of spectroscopy.